in Argentina. So this is the good idea. It's not to say, okay, we don't want shale gas in France, but we want also continue buying gas or energy from other parts of the world. No. So what? Other issue that I think that is important is the question of so-called energy. Energy, meaning fossil fuels. I think that I have been following a little bit the discussions in this forum, and we have a lot of fightings against the concentration of energy in the power in the few hands. The struggle of what Trevor mentioned, access to energy, has to do with the concentration of energy in the corporations. The fight against shale gas, the fight against tar sands, the fight against the Keystone pipeline, the Yasumization of the world that we are promoting. So fossil fuels, instead of climate change, could be a basis to start a coordination among us. For example, I received a message last week from one woman from the Occupying movement in Wall Street. They want to learn more about the Yasumization of the world. I mean, this is nice because they say, I am writing to you, we don't have even a name for this, and I like this very much because here the question is not to name nothing, it's just to build something. And I was very, very happy because these are the type of links that we have to look for. Other things that could help us to build a movement, even because sometimes we can even think differently. For example, the issue of climate jobs. I'm not sure, for example, if we are thinking about the same in the South or in Ecuador, or what is happening here in South Africa, but precisely because we are not thinking about the same, I think that we can sit together and say, okay, let's talk about climate jobs. I remember that last week, 2 weeks ago, here, it was a meeting about the Delhi Energy Week. And I mentioned, I asked a question, in fact, what is this climate job? And I tried to define a climate job. And I mentioned, is a climate job, for example, a South African building solar panels with technology from Japan, with steel from Brazil, to be bought by a German family? And what is a climate job? This is not an ecological job at all, but it's called a climate job. So the idea is to say, okay, there are things that we have to think about, and we can build a common idea about what we are looking for. Finally, I want to finish with this issue of the rights of nature. And I will take 3 minutes about this. Here, as Ecuadorian, I am very proud that in Ecuador the rights of nature are recognized in our constitution. And of course, as Accion Ecologica, also very proud because we have been fighting for this since not too many years ago, but for the last 3 years, maybe 4 years ago. And also, I am one of the persons that are promoting, for example, the idea that in the United Nations could be a declaration. Could be. I'm not sure. It could be a declaration of the rights of Mother Earth. But is a good strategy, for example, to build an international movement, so-called, for example, Global Coalition of Rights of Mother Earth? And this I am taking only as an example to show how to jump different levels could destroy even a good idea. Why I am saying this? Because rights of nature is probably one of the most revolutionary things that in terms of conceptualization of rights or philosophically in the past 500 years are happening here in the world, in the pensamiento. But if we don't, first of all, understand locally, in the communities, in our organizations, what we are talking about when we say rights of nature, and if we start, first of all, to compare making a job of comparison. Okay, these indigenous people in Bolivia, they don't call it rights of nature, maybe in their own language, but they understand rights of nature like this, and let's compare with what is happening with the peoples in Ecuador. Let's compare with what is happening with here in Soweto, that you are talking about rights of Mother Earth. I mean, first of all, in the very low level, to understand what we are talking about, understand one to each other, among us, etc., etc. And then we can even say, okay, this is an exercise of comparison. Let's do the same with the rights of nature, but not as an exercise of comparison, but as an exercise of confrontation. Only on that moment we can say, okay, exercise of confrontation. Let's take the rights of nature to confront capitalism. Let's take rights of nature to confront green economy. Let's confront rights of nature with the payment or the creation of the ecosystem services. Only at that moment we can jump to the second level. And only on that moment, maybe we can start to talk about an international coalition of rights of nature. Because we have been, for years maybe, knowing what we are talking about. And the idea will be protected by the local level, by the communities. If not, we are going to lose. It will be out of our hands, completely out of control, and who knows what is going to happen with this concept. Finally, I want to say that maybe one other platform, and I will finish with this, could be the issue of criminalization. And all over the world, criminalization against those that we are struggling is more and more strong. And I think that, I don't know how, but maybe creating solidarities, creating, I don't know, a platform, international platform to defend the rights of the defenders of nature, for example, or the defenders of the rights of nature. This is another aspect that we have to work on. Could be a new and different way to create solidarity among us. But finally, taking the first of my speech, the relations north-south. I think that in any international movement should be an ethical respect from the different positions and point of views. Try to understand, not imposition at all. And of course, compromise, not to compromise in solidarity with the movements, but a compromise to try to understand how these movements are built, and of course try on that moment to build this international movement in environmental and rights or whatever. Thank you.